Hey there, it's Diane the Nursing Geek, and I said I was going to try to do some sort of vloggy thing about academic and professional conferences. It's the last day of the academic and professional conference that I'm at, which is GLAMA, Health Professionals Advancing LGBTQ Equality, and I figured if I'm going to get this done at all, it's going to happen right now. So, rather than do the selfie thing, I figured I'd take advantage of the fact that there's actually a full-length mirror in the room and use that instead. Also because part of what I'm going to talk about is wardrobe stuff, so I had to show you what I actually had on since that is part of the whole what did I pack. And as I'm thinking about this, it sort of has two elements, right? There's the how to pack for your academic conference or your professional conference, and from just the packing and luggage side. And then there's the I'm presenting at an academic or professional conference. What do I need to bring for that? So it's almost like a what's in your bag type vlog, I guess. And of course, yeah, doing it this way, I'm going off center all the time, sorry. So let's start with the stuff that's just general travel, so that anyone who happened to wander in here doesn't care about the academic and professional stuff. We can start with that. So I'm one of those people who really likes to do everything in carry-on. So these are pretty much the two bags that I use. There's this one, which, since there's 8 million black bags, I identify it with this little tag that I won at a friend's shower that says, while looking very blingy, that there is nothing worth stealing in here. And then a string backpack that I happen to get from work. So that's it. And I can generally manage a week's worth, and that's just about what I did this time, 5 days, in these two bags. This time I pushed it a little in terms of how much paper I brought with me, so this poor bag is showing some wear and tear, but it's actually held up pretty well. So, what do you pack? My preferred choice is to pick a color palette or a color palette range and stick with it. So I do one of two things. I either do all cool tone blue, green, purple, which is what I went with this time clearly, or I do all like neutral earth tones. And you can pretty much get by with 2 pairs of dress pants. So there's the black pair I have on, and then a blue pair of dress pants, pair of jeans for the actual travel days, and any other occasion I might have to wear jeans. And then everything else is just mixing and matching with the tops. Typically I'll wear a t-shirt for the travel day, but I might also use one of the others. Most of the tops I bring will be just sort of general, worky, business casual, since that seems to be more or less, yeah, this fits in that category too, more or less the expected range that I've seen at most conferences. First couple of conferences I went to, I showed up with suits. I was the only one in a suit. So if you haven't been to a particular conference before, and you know someone who has, ask them what the expected dress range is so that you don't go spring for a new suit that you don't need. I do also generally have one casual-ish thing within the same range. So in this case, just sort of a tank top and lightweight plaid, because I am in Las Vegas. There was no way it was going to be cold enough for flannel. And then for my particular presentations, well, one of them, this is the outfit I wear for it, is this t-shirt. It's a workshop about stress management for LGBTQ youth. So hence the rainbow and the very purposefully choosing a shirt that was used for fundraising for suicide prevention in general. And since this one was released after the Pulse, I think they chose the Trevor Project in particular, but I'm not sure. And the logo also references Supernatural. If you've heard me mention my fanishness of that show before, you will not be surprised. And that also does kind of speak to the kids. So I decided, since that's what I'm presenting about, I would wear that. And what I usually do to strike a balance between being a bit more casual and looking professional is then I'll wear a lab coat with rainbow caduceus and university pin. So that was new. I've never packed this along before, and this was fun to pack and try to keep presentable. In fact, I did not succeed, and I had to actually use an iron, which I avoid like the plague for the most part. Try to have things that don't really need it very often, but hey, fortunately hotels do provide them. And then my jacket, which I should have thought to bring a sweater. I don't know where I would have fit it, but so I've ended up using the jacket for rooms that have too much AC going on. This particular conference also has an awards gala. Most, I think, tend to have some sort of awards baby dinner. They're not always formal enough to drag out a former bridesmaid dress for, but this one is. So all of this fits into that black rollerboard, other than the jacket, easily enough, even with the dress boots. So, and it's good for about a week. And then, of course, obviously, relevant underthings and socks, but that's kind of a given, I hope. Other survival stuff. Some protein bars just to have for when there's no time to grab an actual meal. I was thrilled to find a fold-up yoga mat that I could pack easily enough so that it lies flat in the bag, because the typical long rolled up yoga mat does not fit in that little travel bag. It would fit in a checked bag, but I don't like to check my bags because I want to make sure that I know exactly where they are and they're going to go to the same place I am. Something I added this time is this resistance band, which is very versatile and meant I didn't have to pack any type of weights to continue the exercises that I do, but I could still get enough resistance to actually get the workout that I need. So, and that all fits in pretty easily as well. And the protein bar box, that'll be gonzo, so that won't have to take up space on the way home, which is good because I did end up buying a couple of books and then realized, oh wait, I was very tight in packing on the way here. So that's the non-conferencey stuff. Now let's get into the more conferencey stuff, most of which boils down to, if nobody has ever told you that if you have a presentation, you need to also print out your PowerPoints, then let me be the one to tell you, also print out your PowerPoints, please. Because if you don't, it is a guarantee something will go wrong. I saw a number of presenters get stalled out due to tech issues with their presentations when they could have let somebody else wrangle with the slides and eventually play catch up, but kept going themselves if they just used a printed version. And I like to put them into something that's a bit more of a presentation, because then they also go into my portfolio for eventual comprehensive review, which is part of being an academic, is demonstrating all of the things that you've done that are beyond just teaching in the classroom. So you need to have your presentations accessible. And so that's another reason to print them. So both to have it available in case of technical difficulties and to be able to have it for your portfolio later. And I guess the third thing would be if somebody comes up to you after your session and just wants you to pull up a particular slide again and you've already turned the computer off or shut your presentation down, then you can just open it up and say, well, here you go. You can take a picture of this page. If that you just wanted those references, sure, just pull out your phone and take a picture. Business card thing. I use it both to bring my own business cards and to collect other people's, because that's one of the things you want to do at a conference. Beyond everything that you might learn in the sessions you attend and then doing your own presentation if you have one, you want to be able to connect with people in your field that you might not otherwise have had the opportunity to connect with because you all traveled to this place probably from all over the world. So bring your cards and have some way to keep track of the ones that people give you. And do not be the person that I was today when somebody handed me her card and 10 seconds later I couldn't figure out what I did with it. I don't know why I didn't put it directly in there, because that is normally what I do, but clearly I did not. Okay, that's actually the main academic survival packing part. But then the other piece, this is Preptober. This is not a Preptober video, but I am also doing preppy stuff. Well, not preppy stuff. That's 80s stuff. Or no, that was Valley Girl was the 80s stuff. Whatever I'm babbling about. So this has been kind of my Preptober table. My tablet with headphones. Headphones are a must. I don't know if you can hear that pounding music in the background that is coming from outside, but this is Vegas and that is all the time. So having headphones so that you can listen to something else or earplugs so you can sleep is a good idea. My traveler's notebook, which has my setting bank, which I have not actually made good use of. And I really need to do some just sitting down and writing out settings while I'm here. And then this insert that I have yet to actually use for anything. It will develop its purpose in time, I'm sure. And then my bullet journal. All there. I did get, I actually got 2 Preptober books, but the only one I had printed out before I came was this one from the Ginger Wordsmith. I will try to remember to link it below because I believe she does still have them available. I did also get Natalia Lee's Preptober book, which I will link that too, even though I don't have anything to even show you about it. But I have been making use of that using character sheets and plotting sheets and that sort of thing, which has been very helpful. And then just my marker case full of pens and markers. So I like to color code things. I have thoroughly amused my colleagues with the fact that I walk around with this many markers to color code things. So mostly some Tombos. Yeah, it'd be nice if I actually had it where you could see it. So mostly some Tombos, a couple of microns in the marker compartment, and then some fountain pens, which I had completely filled all of them before I left, and they are all now pretty much empty. This one, the TWSBI still has a little bit of ink left, but really not much. So I need to think that through a little better next time, because I didn't want to put a bottle of ink into my little liquid bag that you have to use for TSA. So we'll think about that. And yeah, to go with the tablet, should have said this before, mouse, since some of the stuff I do is much easier with the mouse than the trackpad. And I particularly like this one because it's not only wireless, but it has its own little compartment for the USB right here. pull that out. This is very interesting to do single-handed. So yeah, the little USB to actually make it work. That's also part of my just job survival, I guess, because one of the main things I've been doing besides Preptober with this is grading. The joys of the electronic age, being away at a conference does not get you out of grading. Fortunately, much of the paper that I had packed with me that took up so much space also went away as part of this workplace climate scale pilot project, which if you happen to be a nurse or work someplace that nurses work, I will link you also to the electronic version of this. I had printed out 50 copies of the paper survey, and that took up a substantial amount of space in my bag. So fortunately those went back with my co-researcher, and that's freed up a little space for the trip home too. But yeah, I will link that below for anybody who is so inclined to help out with validating this workplace climate scale. Because I gotta fit a plug in there somewhere, right? Okay. That is pretty much it. See if I can actually just keep this in one location relatively steady. Maybe. That's it for now. I hope you found some of that useful if you have an academic or professional conference coming up, particularly one that you're presenting at. Yes, print your slides. Print your slides. Have some kind, or if you're not using slides, if you've got some other electronic presentation, have a hard copy of some kind that you can have as a backup. Because if you're like me and you rely on your slides to be your cue cards, and which most people appear to do, then if something's not working, you still need cue cards. So yeah, now I'm really signing off. So hope you found something useful here. If you did, if you have questions, if you have some other thing that you think is absolutely critical to bring to these types of conferences that you want to share, please do so in comments. And until next time, I just hope you have a great day. Bye.